Good evening. I'd like to call the March the 10th meeting of the Sebastian City Council to order, please. Would you stand for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Jones. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's have a roll call, please.
Mayor Dodd.
Here.
Vice Mayor Hill.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Councilmember McPartlin.
Here.
Councilmember Nunn.
Here.
Thank you.
All right, does anyone have any agenda modifications they'd like to make? Hearing none, then we'll go on to proclamations and awards. I have 3 proclamations. There's actually 4 items under this, but 3 proclamations. I'm going to come down and do one down there, and then I'll do the other 2 from up here, if you don't mind. So, this is for the March of Meals campaign program. I better get my mask. Okay, this proclamation is for the March for Meals campaign for 2021. Whereas Meals on Wheels American established a National March for Meals campaign in March 2002 to raise awareness about the escalating problem of senior hunger in America. And whereas this observance of the March for Meals campaign provides an opportunity to support Meals on Wheels programs that deliver vital and critical services by donating, volunteering, and raising awareness about senior hunger and isolation. And whereas volunteer drivers deliver nutritious meals to homebound seniors and individuals with disabilities, along with caring concern and attention to their welfare to help them maintain their health and independence, and avoid unnecessary hospitalizations and or premature institutionalization, and provide powerful socialization opportunities. And whereas the Meals on Wheels program in Florida deserve recognition for the contributions they make and will continue to make to local communities, our state, and our nation. Now therefore, I, Ed Dodd, Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby proclaim March 2021 as March for Meals Month in the City of Sebastian, and urge every citizen to honor our Meals on Wheels program and seniors to serve and volunteers who care for them. In witness hereof, I set my hand unto the cause of seal of the City of Sebastian to be affixed this 10th day of March 2021. Thank you. Congratulations. Okay, I understand you have about a 2-minute video you'd like to play.
Yeah, I got a little something to say, and we'll get the video going.
Go right ahead.
So thank you so much. To say during the month of March, we joined thousands of Meals on Wheels programs across America, raising awareness about senior hunger and isolation. The awareness became so much more prevalent this year due to COVID. Normally during this month, we invite community leaders like all of you to be champions for meals, which is a wonderful opportunity for community leaders and members of our community to experience the gratification of delivering a nutritious meal to our homebound seniors. Since that is not possible at this time due to our strict safety protocols, we would like you to have somewhat the same experience virtually. Can you show the video, please?
Senior Resource Association welcomes you to a day in the life of a Meals on Wheels volunteer. To homebound seniors throughout Indian River County. As volunteers arrive at Senior Resource Association each morning and park in designated parking spots, they're greeted by temperature and provides a review of the protocols and any information they might need for their upcoming delivery route, including any client changes or updates to dietary needs. Staff then return to our Meals on Wheels kitchen to pack the daily meals in coolers while the volunteer waits safely in their vehicle. Coolers are then loaded into the trunk of the car by staff. This convenient curbside system ensures that our volunteers, staff, and clients remain as safe as possible. Most routes consist of 5 to 12 clients and may take up to 2 hours for delivery. Each meal provides at least 1/3 of a senior's recommended daily nutrition and is approved by a registered dietitian. All volunteers use a convenient mobile app that provides navigation, delivery instructions, and allows for real-time communication with our staff while they're delivering the meals. The app also affirms that meals were delivered to each client and allows the volunteer to report any change in the client's condition. Every day, Senior Resource Association delivers more than 450 meals and wellness checks to seniors throughout the county. And volunteers are at the heart of the entire operation. We could not manage our programs and services efficiently without the strength and commitment of each and every one of them. More than 150 volunteers keep our Meals on Wheels program running smoothly, and our clients love the interaction with them. Regular volunteers are assigned a set schedule and delivery route, which allows them to visit the same seniors on a regular basis and create meaningful relationships with them. Becoming a volunteer is a simple process that includes background screenings and special trainings provided by Senior Resource Association. Last year, we delivered more than 13,000 meals each month to hundreds of food insecure seniors in our community. For many, it was their only hot meal of the day and the only socialization they experienced. Our Meals on Wheels program has grown nearly 115% since 2019, and the demand for our services continues to grow at an unprecedented rate. To learn how you can volunteer with Meals on Wheels and make a difference in the life of a senior, please visit our website at seniorresourceassociation.org.
This is a great program, and the services that they provide are really beneficial to the community. If you've ever had a relative that's been homebound, I have, that received Meals on Wheels programs, it's really a lifesaver to them. So thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this is a proclamation that's going to be accepted by Anne Marie Frazier. She's going to come in on Zoom. And this is the Procurement Month proclamation. She ready?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Whereas the public procurement professionals dedicate themselves to providing the best value for every taxpayer dollar used to purchase goods and services while continuing to expand their knowledge, skills, and abilities. And whereas we commend the City of Sebastian's procurement professionals' work to improve purchasing processes, use new technology to increase efficiency, and promote principles such as accountability, ethics, impartiality, professionalism, service, and transparency. And whereas the National Institute of Public Procurement and other professional procurement associations promote the recognition, improvement, and advancement of the procurement function within business and government. I therefore, Ed Dodd, Mayor of the City of Sebastian, do hereby march 2021 as Procurement Month. In witness hereon, I have herefore set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Sebastian to be affixed the 10th day of March 2021. Congratulations, Anne Marie.
Thank you all. And then I had a quick moment, just wanted to go ahead and say thank you, Mayor Dodd, all City Council members, city staff, and city residents. So of course, my name is Anne Marie Frazier, the Procurement Contracts Manager for the City of Sebastian. Once again, happy Procurement Month, as well as happy Women's Month as well. I appreciate the proclamation acknowledging March 2021 as Procurement Month, and also the opportunity to shed light on the importance of the public procurement profession, as most times our work does go largely unnoticed. Can you imagine the inconveniences of daily life without public infrastructure, schools, police, fire safety, parks, and even healthcare? Each of these depend heavily on a procurement professional to competitively solicit quality quotes, bids, and proposals from the supplier community, as well as select the best offers to keep governments operating. This requires a great rapport with our staff, subject matter experts in various fields, and especially the community and vendors. We do all of this while upholding the values of accountability, ethics, impartiality, professionalism, service, and transparency. So the textbook definition of procurement is purchasing, renting, leasing, or otherwise acquiring any supplies, services, or construction. It includes all functions that pertain to the acquisition, including description of requirements, selection and solicitation of sources, preparation of contracts, and all phases of contract administration. A lot of stuff, right?
Yes.
Procurement professionals fill a crucial role with our agencies within the governmental agencies. I myself use every opportunity to make it teachable moment. So for the first year, City of Sebastian's Procurement Division has received the prestigious Achievement of Excellence in Procurement Award from the NPI. That award stands for and measures our innovation, our professionalism, our productivity, and our leadership as it relates to procurement. And for the second year, we have also been awarded the Excellence in Achievement Agency certification, which identifies us as an organization that has staff that is UPPC or certified. So once again, I thank you all, and thank you for allowing March 2021 to be Procurement Month.
Thank you. You all might remember, it wasn't too long ago, we recognized Anne Marie Fraser for being certified at the highest level with the National Association of Purchasing Agents. So she's not only very articulate, but she's also very knowledgeable. So thank you, Anne Marie. All right, now this is a proclamation for the American Red Cross Month. There is no one here from the American Red Cross, but I'll read it. Whereas March is a special time to honor the kindness of our neighbors who aid families in need every day in Sebastian, on the Treasure Coast, and across the United States and around the world. And whereas during these trying times of the COVID pandemic, volunteers have supported individuals and local families for providing blood donations, food shelter, financial assistance, comfort, and guidance. Also during the past year, the Red Cross has provided critical safety and disaster readiness training services, installed free smoke alarms, and created fire preparedness plans. And whereas this life-saving work is vital to the strengthening of our community, we dedicate the month of March to all of those who continue to advance the founder, Clara Barton's noble legacy, and we ask others to join in her commitment to care for people in need. And now, therefore, I, Ed Dodd, Mayor of the City of Sebastian, and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim March 2021 as Red Cross Month. I encourage all Americans to support this organization and its noble humanitarian mission. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Sebastian, Florida, to be affixed on this 10th day of March 2021. So thank you, guys. Thank you, American Red Cross, for the work that you do. And we now have a presentation on Zoom. Ms. Carlo, would you like to introduce this, or Ken maybe?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Kilgore is here. This is our 2020 comprehensive CAFR report that Ross Coughlin and Ryman Robinson that do for us every year, and it just gives a state of our budget and things that they found within our budget, and I'll turn it over to them to present to you.
All right.
Good evening. Yeah, nice to hear everybody, I guess, instead of see everybody. I would like to just take a few minutes to present to you the comprehensive annual financial report for September 30th, 2020. You should have a copy in front of you, and the first thing I'd just like to point out is that it is a comprehensive annual financial report, which is different than just basic financial statements. It's something that the city has chose to do for a number of years, and it just shows the excellence in financial reporting that they want to commit to the citizens of the City of Sebastian, and I'll talk about the award that you received for that in just a minute. But the financial statements is really broken up into 4 basic sections. There's an introductory section, a financial section, which includes our independent auditor's report. There's a statistical section, and then there's a compliance section. Included in the introductory section is that Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. And like I said, the city has participated in this program that's offered through the National Government Finance Officers Association. And only municipalities that want to present their financial information at a higher level participate in this program. Ken will be submitting the 2020 financial statements here shortly. If he hasn't already done so, they're due by the March 31st. They go through a review process at the GFOA, and as long as they meet the criteria, they will award the certificate for them. So included in the financial statements is the Certificate of Excellence for Financial Reporting from 2019. So it's something I also would like to point out that probably, or not probably, less than one half of 1% of municipalities, governmental entities throughout the United States participate in this program. And certainly the city of the size of Sebastian is fairly rare for them to participate in this program again. So just again, want to commend and recognize the extra effort that the city goes through to prepare these comprehensive financial reports. I think it's really important to understand that you all go above and beyond what is just required from general basic financial reporting. So congratulations on the 19, and certainly expect that you'll receive that award again for 2020 statements.
Thank you.
Included in the financial section, really one of the first things is our independent auditor's report. And as you would expect, it's the highest level of assurance that we can provide, which just simply says that in our opinion, the financial statements present fairly in all material respect the financial position of the city as of September 30th, 2020. So that certainly is the opinion that you would be looking for. As you go through, also included in the financial section after our opinion is what's called a management's discussion and analysis, an MD&A. And it's about a 20-page summary, and it's a real nice high-level summary of the financial highlights of the year, and then an overview of the financial statements. So, that starts on page 18 of the report, and really is a nice, comprehensive, high-level executive summary of the year in review. Following all of that is the basic financial statements, which includes all the primary government, the governmental activity, the business type activities, the balance sheets, income statements, cash flows, and as well as the footnotes to the financial statements, which the footnotes provide more detailed information about the financial information, all the way from your cash and investment policies to leasing to pensions. It's a more of a written, a better description of the financial information, or there to support the financial information. There is a required supplementary section that primarily reports on your pension trust fund. There is a 10-year history of the fund in that section. Obviously, the current year is in there, as well as the funding level. When you look at it, the city is at about an 80% funding level and has maintained that level. It has dropped to maybe the 78% and as high as 85% over the years. But really, I think the industry views anything over 70%, 75% to be very well funded and in a strong position. I know you meet with your pension advisors regularly, but I just wanted to point that out, that the pension fund by these accounts is well funded and well managed. Another section that's in here is the statistical section, and it's even though that section is unaudited, again, this is one of those extra types of reporting that the city does to participate in the Certificate of Excellence. But in the statistical section, there's several pages there that just talk about financial trend, the revenue capacity, debt capacity, demographic, economic information, and operating information. That all starts on page 121 and really provides a lot of good resources. There's 10-year trend analysis there and a lot of good historical information from a statistical standpoint. The last section in the financial report that starts on page 157 is a couple of additional reports that we're required to report on from a governmental auditing standard standpoint. And most of all of these are compliance matters. So first, the governmental auditing standards require us to do some additional testing to make sure that the city is in compliance, and therefore we perform tests of compliance with certain laws and regulations and contract and grant agreements. And we have to comment that if there's any non-compliance that we're aware of, and we did not find any instances of non-compliance for that. The Florida Auditor General also requires us to do about 4 specific testing, compliance testing for them as well. One, I quite frankly don't understand, but it's the official title and legal authority, you know, that the city has, you know, that you have the proper legal title and authority to do, to conduct your business, which you have. The most significant testing that we do on this is what's called financial condition and management. The state of Florida puts out benchmarks for municipalities of various sizes and revenue sources. And we have to compare those benchmarks with the city's actual benchmark and note if there's any financial distress, you know, any you know, decline or just problems that are coming alert relative to these benchmarks. And we go through about a 15-step process to determine and apply these benchmarks, and then we have to report if the city meets any one of those conditions that, you know, that the state wants to know about, and the city did not meet any of those conditions, which is a good thing. That's what we want to hear, that the city did not meet any of these distress or benchmarks that would be unfavorable. And then the last 2 are just special component units, which the city does not have any. And then if we just became aware of any other matters during our audit that we would need to report on to make you aware of any non-compliance issues. So there's none of that. The last thing that I will point out is traditionally for the last couple of years, you've been subject to a federal single audit. That audit is separate and distinct from the comprehensive annual financial report that we just reported on. It is a separate report, and it's a compliance audit on federal grants. We traditionally have that report finished at this time, but the city is subject to a single audit for September 30th, 2020. And the grant that subject you to the single audit is the CARES Act money that you received. Really up until just a couple of weeks ago, there wasn't any guidance from the federal government on how to test and what compliance aspects they wanted us to look at. So we have not completed that testing, but they've given us, typically it's due by June 30th, but the report is now due by September 30th. So we have plenty of time, and now that the guidance and compliance have come out, we would expect to get that wrapped up in the next few months. And again, that's specific testing focused on the CARES Act money, and if there's any non-compliance issues relative to that, we'll report on that and let you know that as well. I also wanted to, of course, thank Ken and his team there. We conducted this audit virtually remotely. We invested in a new software to help with data exchange and document exchange, secure service, and I know we required the staff a little extra time in uploading and providing documents to us, but I think once we got into the groove of it with our software, it was fairly useful and helpful, and I think we appreciate the extra time we know it put on the staff, especially during this year when they already had a lot of extra time asked of them. So with that being said, the document, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of it. I mean, really all good news in the document. As you can tell, it's 180 plus pages, and as I'm happy to do, certainly happy to answer any questions now, but also would be happy to answer any individual questions or meet with you individually if there's any concerns. But other than that, I'm done with my presentation, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask? No? All right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Ken.
you all. I appreciate it.
All right. We're on to brief announcements. The Sebastian Police Department movie night out is March the 12th. The movie Sing is going to be played at 7 p.m. March the 19th through 21st is the Shrimp Fest and Craft Brew Hullabaloo Festival at Riverview Park. Now, I understand the Craft Brew Hullabaloo is going to be across Indian River Drive in the grassy area. Have you heard that?
I haven't heard, but wherever it is, you'll probably be able to find me.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Then their hours are going to be Sunday from 11 to 9. Friday from 3 to 9, Saturday from 11 to 9, and Sunday from 11 to 5. It's a great event. 2 years ago, I had some of the best shrimp I'd ever had because one of the restaurants in town created a pickled shrimp that was delicious. And I've never had it before. It was really good.
So happy to hear that. It's, one of the premier events that we have in the city of Sebastian. It's great that we're getting back into the groove and that's taking place. It's going to be great to see everybody out there.
Okay. I'm going to announce this tonight, but we'll be announcing this at our next meeting on April the 19th. Here in these chambers, FDOT is going to have a public workshop on the 66th Avenue 510 intersection, the roundabout that they have proposed to place in there. And so that public workshop will be in these chambers on the 19th of April. And we're going to try to get notification out so people have an opportunity to decide whether they want to come to the workshop or not. Okay. So anyone else have any brief announcements they'd like to make? Sir. Oh, I saw you pushing your button. So. All right. Thank you. Now we're on to public input. Is there anyone from the public who would like to talk about any item that is not on the agenda tonight? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to the council on a topic that's not on the agenda tonight? Is there anyone on Zoom?
No one has raised their hand.
Okay. I know our meetings are not as exciting as they used to be, but I wish more people would come and talk to us,
Perfect.
Okay, consent agenda. Council, do I have, what's your pleasure to have a motion on the consent agenda? Or anyone like to remove any items?
Move approval, Mr. Mayor. Second that.
All right. Have a motion by Councilmember McPartland, seconded by Councilmember Nunn. Any comments from the audience or from the public on the consent agenda? Anyone on Zoom have any comments?
No one.
Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Mr. Mayor?
Opposed,
Mr. Mayor?
same sign. Yes.
Point of
Yes,
order.
sir.
D Delta is monetary.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, the item D is monetary.
item D.
Yeah. All right, let's do a roll call on that, please.
Vice Mayor Hill,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones,
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin,
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn,
Yes.
and Mayor Dodd.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, committee reports. There's nothing on the agenda. Does anyone on the council have any committee reports they'd like to discuss? No? Okay. All right, we're on to item 11A. (11A) is a review of the city attorney's contract. In your packet, you have 4 documents, well, actually 5 if you consider the cover letter. You have a contract committee review and recommendations. You have a city attorney's suggested changes. You have the city attorney's employment agreement and a copy of Resolution 2104, which we passed 3 meetings ago. Does anyone on the council have anything like to say about this? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor Dodd. I appreciate the time. And I think that this is the time that it really stinks to be a council member sometimes, because, I think that everyone involved in this situation are good people. I appreciate the work that the city attorney has done for us for the year and 1 month that he's been in our employ. I think he's done a great job. But I have to explain, and it's going to take me a few minutes, why I'm not going to be able to support these adjustments that are suggested in here. So it's going to take me a couple of minutes, and again, I preface it by saying, all involved, I appreciate very much. I think the city manager, city attorney's doing a really good job for the city. I'm very happy to have him on board. I'm proud of the representation he gives, and that's just something I'll hopefully not have to stop 5 times during this to discuss. Now, when I got the agenda, I read into it, and the background in the first paragraph, the latter half of it, it states that during the contract committee's proceedings, it was agreed upon that the city attorney's salary would be reconsidered at the end of a 6-month probationary period, August 12th, 2020. However, the state of the city diverted the attention needed to complete this negotiation. Now, I heard the statement that you made at the last council meeting, or maybe one before that, about how this was an interim salary that he was given. And that's the very first time I have ever heard that. No. I've never heard a peep about interim salary. And so I was a little bit taken aback. And then in reading the agenda, I read that, and I was like, all right, so maybe I'm just a little mistaken. And I watched the meeting. And by God, I so appreciate these boring meetings that you run now, Mayor Dodd, because that meeting was a disaster. It was the typical meeting that we had for the nearly year that was 2020, I suppose, right? It was a disaster. It was all we could do to fight and get that thing passed. The contract was passed on a 3-2 vote that evening. There was a lot of discussion, mostly things that had nothing to do with the city attorney, but we were able to get the thing done, and I fought very hard to get Manny, and I'm very happy that we did that. So I watched that meeting and was a little bit surprised that I didn't see anything in that meeting pertaining to a renegotiation of the contract in the 6 months. Not a single word was discussed at that meeting. And so, continuing on with the agenda, after watching the meeting, I've got into the background, and I think that it's a little bit flawed and misleading. And I don't think it's meant to be, but if it's read, it states on February 12th, 2020, and that's the date of that council meeting, Mr. Anand was retained as the Sebastian City Attorney. As part of the contract discussions at that time, there was a 6-month probation period. True, that wasn't discussed, but it was in the contract. There were several issues raised about the agreement to the probation period, including, number one, Mr. Anand's request that that his contract be reopened for modification at the end of the 6-month period. At that time, he was told that we can discuss change at the end of the probation period. That did not occur on the 12th. The city council never had that discussion. I rewatched the meeting to make sure, because I didn't remember it, but that did not occur. Number two, Mr. Anand was concerned that the salary level was not consistent with other cities around Sebastian. And that, again, was never discussed. In fact, there was a brief discussion about how we came to the $120,000 point, and that was based on I believe the mayor said, let me see if I can find that. The salary was from a study we did. And so we based, the city council said that we were going to hire someone on at, I think, between 110 and 120, because that's what it seemed like a reasonable amount. And I think it was. It's a good contract. But we never discussed that money wasn't acceptable to the attorney. That was never discussed. And so I think that it's important that current council understand fully that that's the way it was. We never had a discussion at that time. Secondly, on here, it's got a current salary comparison that was done. And I like salary comparisons, and it's got like cities, Fort Pierce, Sebastian, West Melbourne, Vero Beach, and Stewart. Before I do that, I want to get to the city manager contract. I'm sorry again. This is something I don't enjoy doing, but I have to do because I have to do my job as a city council member. Before we get to the salary comparison, I want to talk about the contract that was signed. Now, the contract was for $120,000 in salary agreed upon by the city attorney, the current city attorney, and that was on the 12th of February. And there are other things in that contract. There's a lot of things in the contract. And again, I think it's a good contract. And that's why I voted for it, and I think it's a good contract. It states that the city's attorney in salary shall be $120. The city will fully pay for his insurance, his health insurance, and his dependents. The city will fully pay for a term life insurance policy for him. And the city will contribute to its 401A retirement 9% of the city's base salary, which equates to $10,800 a year. So the totality of the contract actually came out to, and this was discussed at the meeting as well, $162,551. So the contract and benefits come to about $162,551, and that was discussed with the finance director as well as the city manager through questions that we had for them. It also says in paragraph 10, or whatever, in the terms of agreement, it says that the city attorney shall be entitled to the use of a designated city vehicle for official and necessary city business use. This shall not be used for transportation to and from the residence or be taken out of state in the contract. Now, the most important paragraph is paragraph 11, which says entire agreement. The agreement constitutes the entire agreement between the parties and contains all the agreements described herein between the parties with respect to the subject matter hereof. Said agreement supersedes any and all other agreements either oral or in writing between the parties hereunto with respect to the subject matter of this agreement, notwithstanding section 5 herein. So that basically says this contract is the only agreement that the city of Sebastian has with the city attorney. Section 5, basically resolution R-10-05, we went over it last week, basically says that, the city will evaluate charter officers and do our evaluations publicly, and if we decide we want to give them a merit increase, we can do that. That's what section 5 is. So that's all very important stuff. Next, on to the current salary compensation, or the comparison that was done. Again, I like salary comparisons because I think it's important that we make sure that our employees are paid a reasonable salary while making sure that the citizens are well protected. The city of Fort Pierce was given. The city of Fort Pierce has a population of 47,000 people, which is almost double city of Sebastian. A budget, or their city attorney makes $165,000 a year. Their annual budget is $75.4 million. The population is almost twice Sebastian's at 47,000. The attorney has been there for 4 years. West Melbourne has a population of a little over 22,000. The city attorney makes $151,000 there with an annual budget of $43 million. They have a utilities department. The attorney has been there for almost 6 years. The city of Vero Beach has a population of about 18,000. We know that city very well, love that city very much. It's a good neighbor. They have a population of 18,000. The city attorney makes $138,000 a year. They have an annual budget of double ours at $60 million plus or minus. They have a marina, a wastewater treatment plant, a water and sewer. They have lifeguards and trash pickup. The city of Stewart has a population of only 16,000, and the city attorney makes $173,000 a year. Their annual budget is more than double ours at $65 million a year. And they have a marina. Now, Sebastian has a population of about 27,000, and our city attorney currently has a base salary of about $124,000. It's like after his increase after 120, it was 123.8, something like that. The annual budget is $29 million, which is $14 million less than the next lowest budget on this comparison list. So, I like to compare a lot of different things, and I don't even think this is a fair way to compare cities because every city is unique in its own way, right? So the city of Fort Pierce's city attorney makes 0.22% of the budget. West Melbourne's makes 0.35% of the budget. The city of Vero Beach makes 0.23% of the budget, and the city of Stewart's attorney makes 0.27% of the budget. Now, the city of Sebastian's under his current contract, attorney makes 0.43% of the budget. Now, that sounds like peanuts, right? But if you compare all of these different things, you have to compare not only the population, but you have to compare the amount of services that are provided, which also includes the amount of legal assistance that's going to be required throughout the year. So then I looked at the employment agreement, first addendum that Mr. Anand provided us, and was stunned. I was stunned. Paragraph 3, Article 4 says compensation and benefits, paragraph 1 shall be amended to the following. The city will compensate the city attorney at a rate of $140,000 per year in 26 equal payments. $140,000, that's a $20,000 increase over his agreed upon salary and agreed upon contract. And in it there, it also says that the city attorney shall be entitled to use of a vehicle for business and for personal use within the state of Florida. That's an additional benefit. So, floored, to be honest with you. You want to talk about a merit increase, or you want to talk about something reasonable because we feel that the city attorney has gone above and beyond, and we could talk about that. That's under under the resolution R-10-5. We have the opportunity to do that, but to completely redo the entire contract is, you know, it's our right to do, it's his right to ask us to do, but I think this is just really, really beyond what could ever be asked. I mean, during the 2021 budgeting process, we determined that in order to provide just a 2% plus a 1% increase for all of the employees in the city would cause us to raise taxes by 12%. And we told the employees of the city that we're going to raise taxes by 12% just so we can give you that 2% plus 1% increase. We're going to do that for you so you can get that 3% increase. We're going to raise taxes. We can't do any more. So please sign this contract. We're doing everything we can to take care of you. And then we told the public that in order to give these guys just a meager raise, we have to raise your taxes by 12%. We don't like it, but we're going to do it. And now we're being asked to provide the third highest paid employee in the city of Sebastian, what it will equate to an 11% increase, plus, because there will be additional increases through the budgeting process in going into October, because he thinks he's underpaid. And that's okay. He has a right to ask that. Now, the city clerk has lived by and honored her contract for years. Never once have we heard, I would like money in my merit increase during an evaluation. We stole the city clerk. We got her at way undervalued, and I still think she's underpaid. But she does a great job serving the citizens of Sebastian, understanding that her position is one of service to this community. The city attorney, or the city manager, the same thing. He's worked for years. Never a peep about, I need more money, I need more money, I need more. And so I was quite shocked when this happened. They were both steals. Now, I would ask you, as council members, what has changed in that 1 year and 1 month since the city attorney accepted the agreement, the contract in total? What has changed in that year and 1 month? I would suggest to you that things got one hell of a lot better, because I was watching that meeting and I remember everything we had to go through and everything they had to go through. And actually, it's amazing he took the job, because the chaos was happening when he said, yes, this contract works great for me. I'll come to this city and work even under these crazy, chaotic times. And now it's better. So I can't, again, I appreciate very much the work that the city attorney's done. This is the suck part of our job, but I believe that the only right thing to do is to not go forward and adjust this contract as brought to us, because I cannot tell every other employee in the city of Sebastian that a 3% raise is all we can scrape up for you, while telling another one, just one guy, that you get 11% more and a car. I just can't do it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay. Just to make sure, because a couple of things that you said, what's actually being proposed here is not what's in the request from the city attorney.
That was what I was going to ask.
It's on page 37 and 197, basically in conversation with the city attorney. And two things I would like to bring forward on this. As the individual from the council who had to sit down and deal with this and negotiate with the city attorney on this, I'm not able to make any decisions. It's a council that does that.
Right.
So I'm obligated to bring this forward to the council for that purpose, for the decision process. And so the two items that I agreed to bring forward to the council was the first item, which was a 6% increase effective October 1, 2021, not now, but at the beginning of our next fiscal year. And then the use of an automobile within 75 miles of the city. I have less of an issue with that than I do with anything, because it's not an unusual thing for a city charter officer to have an automobile. There's others that do that. And some of these other cities, they have multiple attorneys on their staff, so it's really difficult to take a look at what they're doing compared to their overall budgets, because some of these, Fort Pierce, I think, is a good example. They have multiple attorneys on their staff, so that's kind of hard to do. But I want to make sure everybody who heard these discussions understood the reason we're even talking about this. Is that I'm a single council person and can't make decisions. So when I'm asked to negotiate with a charter officer, I have to do that negotiation and bring forward in good faith the best that I think I can do during that negotiation for the council to discuss. Okay.
Again, and that's, Mayor, that's why I said, there's nothing that I'm feeling that anyone has done anything, wrong here. I just think that there's some things in translation that gets lost, and I think that the agenda item as provided to us, it's very murky and confusing. And my statement of 11% increase in the car is what you've brought back to us, because essentially he's gotten a 3% increase, he's gonna get another 6%, and then whatever it is we give in the budget next year to the remaining staff, which could be more than 11%.
Well, I mean, that's semantics. We can argue those semantics all day long about the 3% he got last year. Everybody got that, about the 6%.
Right.
But, yeah. So, but the issue comes forward in that I know that during the actual council meeting last February when we approved the contract, that we didn't discuss anything that was reopening the contract, but I know during the conversations with him, that was discussed. And when he reminded me of that, I had to go back and recollect, and I do remember that conversation. So that was the only reason I didn't say no when he even talked about it, was that I did remember that conversation that we had when we were discussing his contract with him. And so that was the reason I actually entered into some form of a good faith negotiation with him to bring back to the council. So this is entirely up to the council. He does a good job. I'm not. I will tell you that during the period of November 2019 through I guess November 2019 through September 2020, he was an extremely great asset to the city in that process. So I may be a bit tainted in my view because of that. He provided he and Paul Carlisle both provided a gigantic amount of support during that time in trying to deal with some of the issues we dealt with. So, has anyone else got anything to say?
Yeah, I do. So, based on the 75 miles from the city, the car, Paul, does that numbers come up to an average of about $5,200 a year just for that alone? Is that correct?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
So I asked TAC, I was asked this question earlier so I could provide the information to look at about $15,000 a year, and maintenance costs and fuel costs of that vehicle was about $52,000 a year.
52,000 or 100?
5,200, sorry. Sorry, 5,200.
Okay. Any other questions?
So, Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes,
can. So, is the purpose of the recommendation, number one, is that the city attorney will have a take-home vehicle? Is that what this is related to directly?
That's what is in the,
Yes.
in the proposal.
Okay, just understanding. Unless I'm missing something, 2.2, that's already in the original contract from last February.
No.
I just read it.
I just wanted to reiterate
You
that.
just
I
wanted-
actually
okay.
put that there so it was reiterated. I
Okay.
didn't want that to slide.
I just wanted to make sure, because I saw it there.
I
wanted to
didn't
make
want
sure.
anybody to think that I was trying to scam something
Okay,
through.
okay.
I wanted to make sure that everything was on the table, so that's why I put that there.
I've talked to a lot of city employees and before the raises were given, and I'm not going to say they were thrilled with the raises they were given, and they understood that during these times it was a need. It was what needed to happen to help give some in a time when the city wasn't doing great. Honestly, Mr. Anand should be given a bonus for his first year of employment because of the nightmare he had to deal with. Thank God things are a little easier now. I have a hard time. He's a great person. He's a great attorney. I just have a hard time with the 3% that was just giving another 6% now. I feel like it might be a little bit of a slap in the face to some of the other employees. As far as the take-home vehicle, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I wouldn't have a problem supporting that. I think that's a nice benefit. It's a nice added benefit. someone that has to, kind of like the city manager, may have to be called to do work for the city at any time, and having that ability isn't a bad thing. I just have a problem right now giving, during the times we're in, giving another 6% right now, maybe a lesser amount. I do have one question for Mr. Hill, if I can. Do you know what the tenure of the Stewart attorney was? I don't know if I saw that.
Oh, Stuart's attorney?
Did you have the tenure for that one?
I didn't.
You didn't, okay, okay, I wasn't sure. Some of these had longer tenure employees, and obviously with time, doing the math, hopefully with better years to come, raises will be better. His pay would be similar to what some of these are after 5 or 6 years. I hope that not giving the raise, if that's what happens, won't convince him he needs to go somewhere else. I just don't know right now if I can personally support an additional increase. I can support the take-home vehicle, though, if that's something we want to talk about more.
Yeah, so if we were to, let's just say we were to go with this 131 plus 6%, is there any reason why it would have to wait till October the 1st? This is not a bargaining unit member. Why would it have to wait till October 1st? Why couldn't it go into effect immediately?
I was personally uncomfortable with awarding an increase prior to the next budget cycle.
Right.
And I'm the one who proposed that in our negotiation.
Yeah, but what would be the reason why it couldn't go? Is there some financial reason? Maybe Ken can answer that or something?
It's not a matter of finances, it's just a matter of the fact that I just felt personally uncomfortable for a lot of the reasons that were discussed by Councilmember Hill and Councilmember Nunn about the employees. I mean, we reassess salaries on that budget cycle with the other employees, and I just felt personally uncomfortable recommending that we increase his salary today. I felt that if I was going to bring to the council an increase during our negotiations, that I felt uncomfortable having it earlier than the first of the next fiscal year.
Right,
basically.
but we already postponed it because of the events of the city prior to this.
Well, Councilmember Hill is 100% correct. That was never discussed in that meeting. Quite frankly, I was afraid to discuss it in that meeting. I was afraid we wouldn't get a contract signed. So it wasn't really truly discussed in that meeting. So I don't think we have an obligation, if I want to say it that way. We don't have an obligation to the city attorney to increase his salary tomorrow. I know he would like that. We don't have an obligation to do that. So my point of compromise with him was I will bring back to the council an increase in salary, but effective at the beginning of the next fiscal year as opposed to now. That makes him wait several months to get it, but it fits better with our overall process. And it also fits in with the resolution that we passed that said that charter officers would be reviewed in July and could receive merit increases at the beginning of the next fiscal year. So. Do you have anything, Bob?
I mean, I'm sorry, I wish I could just give this money out, but I kind of agree with Mr. Hill. And then as far as the city vehicle being able to take home, I think it equates to a lot more than $5,600 a year. Because I have a state vehicle that I use, but I'm only allowed to use it for business purposes. And that saves me roughly $5,000 a year, the wear and tear on my own vehicle. So if you get to use it for personal use, to me, that would increase it probably to $10,000, you know? And of course, I have to keep a log everywhere I go and everything along those lines, so. Yeah. I mean, if Jeanette don't have a car.
So.
Yeah, and I would say that there is some precedent in the city of Sebastian that a charter officer have a car, and it is in the contract. However, there's also a stipulation in that contract that the charter officer have a residency in the city of Sebastian. So I mean, if you want one, you can have the other, I suppose. But again, you know, I'm not going to argue anything with you guys.
So where are we?
I think someone has to make a motion for one way or the other.
I'd make a motion to leave the city attorney's current contract in place as it is and was signed on February 12th, 2020.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Does anyone from the public like to comment? Is there anyone on Zoom?
No, there is not.
Okay. And no other comments from council? Let's have a roll call.
Councilmember Jones,
Yes.
Councilmember McPartlin,
Yes.
Councilmember Nunn,
Yes.
Mayor Dodd,
No.
and Vice Mayor Hill.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Now we're on to new business. Quarterly financial report. I don't know which, you want him to do it, or do you want to do it?
Well, Mr. Kilgore is the expert, subject matter expert on this, so I will yield to Mr. Kilgore.
Thank you. I can also be pretty good at summarizing in a very brief capsule what I think you need to know about the report. We do go through and give you financial information. General fund in particular, I can tell you that for the first quarter of the year through December, the projections of revenue and the expenditures all look in line. It's about what we would expect. I would only caution that we've got some items pending that aren't in the budget that are going to reduce the projected balances that we would have by the end of this year. I am hopeful that we will still meet our $5 million target, but even on tonight's agenda, we've got an item that could lead to expenditures of some of the reserve funds. So, as far as the stormwater fund, and for that matter, the enterprise funds, the golf, the airport, and the building funds, they all appear favorable as far as when I try to project out what year end will look like. Just a caution that, after the first 3 months, it's kind of hard to really project out for the next 9 months and say where we'll be precisely, but I feel good about it. Included in the report is an analysis of all the capital projects that we have in the city. Gives you a status report on that. We include the cash balances and where they're located. And we include the reports from all the departments on what their activities were during that 3-month period. The packet includes the resolution that we would ask you to adopt. The resolution is recognizing the amendments to the budget that were made during the first quarter. Most of those were a result of actions that was presented to the council during the quarter and approved. I'd be more than happy to respond to any questions or concerns you might have.
Anyone have any questions?
Yep, just a great job, wonderfully expressed, easy to read, and you did, as always, a heck of a job. And congratulations again on the audit.
Appreciate it.
Anyone from the public have any questions? Anyone on Zoom?
No one.
Okay,
I move approval of resolution number R-21-03.
Second.
okay, have a motion by Councilmember McPartlin, seconded by Councilmember Nunn. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, motion passes. This is item B, which is audit services. It's continuing the contract for audit services. Mr. Carlisle.
Yep. Mr. Mayor, as you saw with Ross giving the presentation, as you know, we have to get someone to do our audits every year, and they have done a fantastic job. We will have to go out next year probably to solicit a new audit firm, but we would ask council to consider extending Ryman Robinson's year-end September 30, 21 financial audit in the amount of $46,200. And you have a copy of the engagement letter which defines their function and what they will do. If you have any specific questions, subject matter expert Mr. Kilgore is here.
Council, any questions? Anyone have a motion?
Yes, sir. I move to approve the continue receiving financial auditing services from Robson for the year ending September 30, 2021 in the amount of $46,200.
Second.
All right, have a motion and by Vice Mayor Hill and a second by Councilmember Jones. Anyone in the public want to discuss this? Is there anyone on Zoom who wants to discuss it?
No one has raised their hand.
Okay. Let's have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Nunn,
Yes.
Mayor Dodd,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hill,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones,
Yes.
and Councilmember McPartland.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay. This is the design build for the Yacht Club seawall, RFQ 2104. Mr. Carlisle.
Yeah, Mayor, as you may be aware, and the public's aware, we have a failing seawall at the yacht club, and it's creating a safety hazard. It has lived its useful life, and though we would have liked to have waited for the budget year to try to get quotes to do that, it's imperative that we get that repaired sooner than later. And with this, what we did is we did a design build, much like we did with the hangar and what we did with the Public Works facility. This allows us to have one contractor to be responsible. And so we went out for requests for qualifications. The team that evaluated the two proposals recommended Fiera. They're actually doing the Fisherman's Landing project currently. And so also by doing design build, we can build in some value adjustment, we can build in schedules, and it'll speed this process along in getting that project completed. So we'd ask this council to authorize me and the purchasing to negotiate a guaranteed maximum price for this project and bring it back to you for final approval.
Now, you're not doing the same type seawall here that you're doing at Fisherman's Landing. Your intent here is to put the vinyl seawalls in?
So part of the design build, our recommendation is a vinyl seawall in front of the existing seawall, and we may have to do some behind the existing seawall to seal it up, but not the rubble wrap, the rubble shoreline. Because of the dock situation,
Right.
we just don't have the room to do that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that thing is falling down. I mean, it's terrible. I've gone down there several times to check it out, and that's a real hazard to our public going down there to that boat ramp. So we need to get moving on that as soon as possible.
And this would be funded out of the discretionary sales tax?
Yes.
Ken snuck out. No, he didn't. He hid back there. Would it be funded out of the discretionary sales tax?
Well, I'll let Ken answer because it's technically a maintenance, but we're going to have to use some general fund revenues to
Okay,
fund
because
it.
when we did the contract approval on the design build for the maintenance facility, we used up about $2 million worth of discretionary sales tax
Correct. But, you
funds,
know,
that more than we intended to spend, so out of there.
so this project, because it's a maintenance item and we actually permit it as a maintenance project, you can't really use DST funds for that. And if you make a motion, we would ask you to make a motion that if you award, to negotiate with Fiera, but if we don't reach a negotiation with Fiera, we can move to the second proposer, just so that it will save us time and have to come back to council if we needed to. I don't believe we will, but
Is there any opportunity we can find some grant money on this, or you think?
not in the amount of time we have, no,
No.
sir. This is imperative we get this done. It's the sidewalk's floating in on air.
Okay. Council, what's your pleasure?
I know myself, I'm very happy to see this come forward finally, because it is dangerous down there. It's like a sinkhole next to the building, and I hate for it to start to get to the building, so we gotta get it done as soon as possible. I wanna go ahead and make a motion to approve RFQ 21-04, to work with Ferreria Construction, and if that doesn't work out, that the city manager has the authority to work with the second firm at hand.
Second?
Motion and a second. Is there any comment from the public? Does anyone on Zoom like to comment?
There is no one.
Anyone on the council like to further comment on this? Okay, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mayor Dodd,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hill,
Yes.
Councilmember Jones,
Yes.
Councilmember McPartland,
Yes.
and Councilmember Nunn.
Yes.
The motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, quite frankly, now for one of the important discussions we have to have. This is about our fireworks display.
Crazy.
Mr. Carlisle.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, member of council, so when we had our launch at the September fireworks display, one of the managers for the Pelican Preserve observed the fireworks and was very pleased that his children got to see the fireworks, but was very disheartened that we were using an island that was within the Pelican Island Preserve. I've tried to reach out to Mr. Williams. I've not received a phone call to see if there's some way we can continue that. Brian has talked to the fireworks people, and they could do it off a barge, which would have increased the cost by about $27,000 on top of the 25. So Brian worked out an opportunity to launch them off of the twin piers, and I think he has a presentation of where the fallout would be from that, except for if we have a strong east wind. So I'm gonna let him show this map, because by law, we have to be 75 feet per inch of shell, so 6 times 75 brings us like 450 feet. So that is the circle of influence. So we could still leave the grass area open, and I would recommend closing it at the sidewalk that runs north and south at the entrance to the pier to keep people from wandering out there, and launch it from the twin piers. Save the fact that I don't get some resolution from Sebastian or the Pelican Island U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to try to launch back off that island. I'm not going to stop trying, but rather than spend another $27,000, this is a good option. And I asked Brian if they would increase the show because of the fact that they don't have to barge the stuff out to the island. If we launch it, that should save them some dollars, so maybe we can actually get a little better show. But, you know, what's the pleasure of council?
Mayor Don?
Yes.
I love the idea. It's like, is there room enough on that dock for this? I mean, it's pretty tight out there, and I know that the display they put out is pretty substantial. It seems to me like that dock alone might not be able to handle the show. And can they do it with those tall sides?
Mayor, City
Yes.
Council, thank you. And thank you, Mr. Carlisle. He explained it very well in my discussions with the fireworks company. In my discussions, I feel that it's adequate space. They will have to come off of the end there a little bit and come back down. So that's where, in discussions with Mr. Carlisle today, we decided to create our buffer zone to the west of the existing sidewalk, which would get us about an additional 70 to 75 feet. The ATF requirement is actually only 70 feet per inch, shell inch. So we went with 75 feet for our 450 feet zone. So we got more than adequate space, and increasing the buffer zone on the west side of the sidewalk gets us, even additional space, so they can come down the pier as far as they need to. As far as the height of the pier and the sides, that's no concern with the fireworks company.
So I asked that question because I'm an idiot, because I'm not a pyrotechnic expert, and you have people that do that. So I actually apologize for that question, because I'm sure if you're bringing it to us, it can be done. I think that this is probably the only viable option we have right now. I mean, spending an additional $30,000 in a year that's already budgeted and that's already pretty tight, I don't think is a very good idea. So I would definitely support the city manager deciding on putting it off the piers, as long as he doesn't burn it to the ground.
Well, that was going to be my question. Is there any possible negative fire impact at the pier?
So as far as shooting it off the pier, the fireworks company doesn't have any concerns with that. Obviously, anything can happen. The one concern, and we have discussed this, is the shell size that we use in our fireworks display goes up to 6 inches. If we have high winds coming that week, or even if it starts to present itself on July 4th, they can disarm the 6-inch, and it will give us plenty of fallout room. Our concern was the debris and the fallout with a heavy east wind coming back towards the park. So that's really the major concern that we have with the fireworks company and with the city, is the debris field and the fallout zone, which worst case scenario, at the very last minute, we can disable the 6-inch shells, and it would save us 70 feet of space there as well.
And if I may add, we have room to move the debris field, the debris zone, closer to Indian River Drive if we had to. So we have a couple options there.
Does it mean you're gonna have to close the sidewalk if you move the debris field west of the sidewalk near the piers?
Our anticipating is closing that sidewalk.
Yeah, so you'll have an area down there that you'll have closed off to people.
So the reason for closing that sidewalk off that attaches to the pier is to avoid anybody trying to get to the piers and walk down it.
Okay.
For security and for safety reasons, we don't feel that we should allow people to walk down that north and south sidewalk on that grass side and close the kayak launch as well, just in the abundance of caution.
So I have two questions. One, since that's going to be on the pier, have we contacted the fire department to be there just in case we have an issue? Number two, the pier to the south of that, it appears that that 450-foot zone kind of crosses over the T of that particular walkway there. Are we going to have any issues with shutting that part down because it overlaps?
So when Brian and I had discussed that T pier, he had already done this 450 foot map, but if we actually go with the 70-foot requirement, it takes that pier out of it.
Okay, that's the additional feet is for the buffer, but not what's required.
Correct.
Okay.
And just for clarification, they do, the fireworks company has direct communication with the fire department, and they're always on site for the fireworks show regardless of where we shoot it off each year. They always have their boat on site, and they will have a unit at the event as well.
And you have discussed this with the fire marshal?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Well, it's going to be awesome because I can tell you, normally we're out on the boat and we get as close to that island as we can. And so the citizens of Sebastian are going to be in for a hell of a show if they're going off that tee. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah, thanks, Jim, for the September one, because that brought this in. We can't use the island anymore.
Nothing ever can just be good.
Yeah, but this could be better.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well, okay, you don't need any
I just
motion
need
or approval from us. Consensus?
The council's okay with launching off the Twin Pier, and I am going to still try to work with U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
I think you have consent. Do you have consensus for that?
Yes.
I think you have consensus for that. Okay. All right, we're down to city attorney matters.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. First and foremost, I want to thank Council for their consideration on item 11 Alpha. I understand your concerns and your vote. That being said, second thing I want to discuss today is the update on the charter review. We have a meeting coming up on March 23rd, and during that meeting, what we're going to be doing is wrapping up everything, all the articles 1 through 6 at that point in time. Hopefully, they'll be making a recommendation as well. The game plan, thanks to the city clerk and I, we worked together and we came up with an amended proposal as far as their calendar is concerned. And what we're looking at now is once they have this meeting, we're going to have 2 public hearings. And right now we have it scheduled for the 8th and the 27th. Subsequent to that, right now it's scheduled on our, subject to their approval. It's scheduled to come before council again on their first presentation to council as far as their recommendation is going to be, where you'll probably get to see whatever articles that they are recommending to council, at which point council then will consider it. They don't have to agree with it. They could, do whatever they want with it. But at that point, council then will give us directions to draft up the ordinance. Subsequent to that, we'll have 2 readings. We're penciling them in now for the 26th of May and the 9th of June to have those 2 readings. And then the following week, we'll meet for the last time with the charter committee to dissolve it. I think that's pretty much what I have to report so far when it comes to council. So nothing further.
Thank you. City manager.
Yeah, Mayor, there's a couple of things that you wanted me to bring back. Thank you. There was a couple items you wanted me to update the council on, one being the stormwater master plan and the septic to sewer program. The stormwater master plan, unfortunately, we did not get the grant from DEO for the 600 matching for our plan. But we are in the running for the CDBG MIT grant, which would come out in the fall, which could be significant. But what we're doing with the stormwater master plan is we've taken the old plans and the projects that are in the old plans, and we're implementing them now. So that's why you see all of this work being done on the canals, cross drains, the stone crop drainage project is still moving forward. With COVID and with pricing, we're way over budget, but we're working on getting additional funds from the state, from FEMA. We got notice today the Elkham Dam, Concha Dam is starting to leak and cause problems. It's been in our plans to replace that Concha Dam. We got notice today that we may be the only people who apply for that FEMA grant to replace that dam. So we feel pretty good about getting that project underway. So though the plan's not moving forward per se, the projects that were located within the several plans that we have are moving forward. So, and we've seen a significant improvement. Some would say no, but I think there's significant improvement in what our crews have been doing and been dedicated to this massive removal of vegetation out of our ditches and canals. And so that is moving forward. The septic to sewer, we've met with Scholke, and we've ironed out all of the components that we want him to address, and we're waiting on him to come back to us with a price to do all that research and study, and then we can move forward with that project. So it is in flux, it is moving. But I also wanted to mention April 5th in this council chambers, there's going to be a meeting by the utilities for the North County Phase 2 water and sewer project. And that really is Roseland Road. It's not within the city, but it does affect us. And they're going to extend the sewer down Roseland Road, and they're going to extend the water. What's important is when the clerk and I spoke to the project person at the county, from my understanding, they have grant funds and $500,000 of state legislation appropriations that somebody got to do that project, and it won't. The residents will not be assessed for that infrastructure. The water is about, they will get assessed for the water, and I think it's about $2,000. I do not want to speak for them. I just think it's important that those residents that can see this on the North County may want to attend that meeting, and we'll have it on our calendar as well. And other than that, that's all I have. Any questions?
I would have a question. Are the residents that live on Roseland Road, will they have an opportunity to connect to the sewer?
That's where they're running it.
That is, so even the residents that live in Sebastian there, near the south end of Roseland Road, will it?
There's nobody in Sebastian there at south end of Roseland.
No, there's nobody in Sebastian on Roseland Road.
Yeah, the south end near 512, all those houses right there.
Oh, you're talking about Roseland.
Yeah, Roseland Road near where it comes off.
So all of that, I believe that force main runs all the way, I believe it runs all the way through from 512 all the way up to just south of our airport, because part of the project we're partnering with the county on extends it from south of the airport to north of the airport, and then they're going to do Kashi and all that. But I don't know what they've done to get it into the neighborhood.
Okay.
So that force main's there, and I don't think that's part of Phase 2. Phase 2 is the northwest side of the city, northeast side of the city.
Anybody we can get off septic and get onto sewer is a good thing.
This is huge, so.
Okay.
What you'd have to do is get the residents in that area to get together, and a high enough percentage of them want it, then the county will come in and talk about doing it and how much the assessment is, and the people who they're waiving the fees for are the people in the county on Roseland Road.
Well, they're waiving the fees because they got grant funds to fund the project.
Well,
yes.
You got grant
There's
funds.
almost no more important spot in Sebastian or North County. I mean, that road runs directly along the St. Sebastian River.
Yeah.
And all of those houses back there are on septic tanks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful project.
I'll make sure they're here.
Okay.
Some of them.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, city clerk. All right, Councilmember McPartlin.
Nothing, sir.
Councilmember Nunn.
Nothing.
Okay, I had the pleasure of addressing the 5th grade safety patrol class at Pelican Island Elementary School last week, and it was an enjoyable experience. I've quite frankly came away from that, after watching the political discourse of the last 3 months, I came away from that thinking we might be okay as a country. So they were very knowledgeable. They asked some really nice questions, and I really enjoyed that. So I think it was a good thing. So that's all I've got. Vice Mayor Hill.
Nothing further. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Councilmember Jones.
Yes, Mayor, did you read a short story to the kids while you were there?
The short story.
A short story, any story.
No, I didn't read a story.
Okay.
I did they asked me lots of questions about what does a mayor do? And I told them, I made sure that I went through the whole litany about, do you really think a mayor is an important person? And they all said no, so I was okay. So, they were very nice and very, very receptive, so thank you. All right, if no one has anything for the good of the order, we are adjourned.